A guy in a Mustang pulls up beside what looks like a work truck. There's a bed in the back, maybe a toolbox, maybe some lumber. Nothing about it says danger. Then the light turns green, and the truck leaves him staring at taillights. That was the Chevrolet El Camino SS454, a factory-built Chevy with 450 horsepower, a warranty, and a cargo bed. It could embarrass muscle cars, haul lumber, confuse insurance companies, and make no sense on paper. So GM did what GM does best with brilliant oddballs. They killed it. The crazy part isn't that Chevy built it. The crazy part is how fast they started trying to bury it. But to understand why they killed it, you have to understand why it scared them in the first place. Half car, half pickup, all confusion. The front looked like a Chevy coupe. The back had a bed. Nobody knew what box to put it in, not buyers, not insurance guys, not even Chevy. So they gave it a name that dodged the question. El Camino, the road, not the truck, not the coupe, just the road. And it didn't start as a monster, it started as a grudge. Ford hit first with the Ranchero in 1957. Chevy hated that. 2 years later, the El Camino arrived. Full-size, chrome-heavy, wild batwing fins, pure 1959 attitude. First year, it beat the Ranchero. Second year, sales dipped. Chevy killed it. Yeah, remember this, because it's gonna matter later. GM kills the El Camino more than once. It's kind of their thing. But Ford kept the Ranchero alive, and by 1964 Chevy wanted back in. So they brought the El Camino back, only this time on a brand new mid-size platform, the Chevelle. And if you know what the Chevelle was about to become, you know exactly where this is headed. The work truck just got bolted to the bones of a muscle car, and this is where Chevy made the first beautiful mistake. See, here's the thing about platform sharing. Whatever the Chevelle got, the El Camino could get. Same frame, same engine bay, same everything under the skin. So when the Chevelle went muscle, the truck went with it. By 1968, you could walk into a Chevy dealer and order an El Camino SS, not a sticker package, real supersport hardware. The 396 big block, up to 375 horses if you check the right box, bucket seats, beefed up suspension, a pickup, wearing the same badge that was terrorizing stoplights all over America. And buyers ate it up. Why wouldn't they? Same thrill as the Chevelle SS, plus you could throw a dirt bike in the back. Then 1970 happened. The peak. The holy grail. The SS454 with the LS6. Factory rating, 450 horsepower. Say it again slow, 450, from the factory with a warranty in a vehicle with a cargo bed. That was the strongest factory rating GM hung on anything that year. The baddest motor in the building, and you could get it in the truck. Remember that stoplight from the open? This is where it happened. Some guy in a Mustang, sizing up the lawn guy's rig, light goes green, gone. Taillights. And the worst part? He can't even tell anybody, because who's gonna believe he got run down by the lumber hauler? That's what made it untouchable. A Corvette warns you, a Cuda warns you. The El Camino just looked like Tuesday. Cheap to buy, sometimes cheaper to insure. Plenty of guys swore their agent filed it as a utility vehicle and never blinked, and packing the same punch as the heavy hitters. The disguise was the whole weapon, and think about what that meant. In 1970, the single nastiest factory motor Chevrolet would sell "You didn't come wrapped in a poster car." You could have it with a bedliner. That's not marketing, that's mischief, straight from the factory floor. But the El Camino's best years were also the beginning of its death. 1971. The party's over and everybody got the memo at once. Insurance companies finally did the math on 22-year-olds with 450 horsepower, and the premiums got brutal. Washington came down hard on emissions. Unleaded fuel meant compression had to drop, and every point of compression that went away took horsepower with it. The 454 survived, on paper, but year after year, they choked it down. Lower compression, smog gear strangling the exhale, power falling off a cliff partly from a new way of measuring, mostly because the muscle was genuinely draining out. Within a few short years, the motor that made 450 was making numbers you'd be embarrassed to read out loud. The King of the Hill engine turned into a boat anchor wearing a crown. Then 73 hits, and the gas crisis lands on top of everything. Lines around the block, rationing by license plate, stations flat out of fuel with a hand-painted sign in the window. Suddenly a big block that drinks like a sailor isn't a flex, it's a liability you push past dry pumps. And here's what made it sting worse for this truck in particular. The El Camino's whole trick was being two things at once, fast and useful. Take away the fast, and what's left? A car with a small bed or a truck with no payload, depends who's asking. The compromise only worked when there was muscle holding up its end of the deal. The truck soldiered on through the 70s, still sold, still useful. But the badge survived longer than the soul. The SS letters were still on the fender, they just didn't mean what they used to. That's the cruelest kind of decline. By 77 it was wheezing, so GM did something that, on paper, should have saved it. It didn't. Quick thing, if you miss the days when trucks had a soul, subscribe. That's what we do here. Now back to the slow execution. 1978. GM downsized the El Camino onto the new G-body platform. Smaller, lighter, cleaner burning, and honestly, not a bad truck. The Royal Knight package, the later SS appearance cars, some good ones came out of that era and people still loved them. But the final killing wasn't loud, it was worse. It was boring. So why did GM really kill it? Not because people hated it. Worse, because it stopped making sense on paper. Compact pickups were cheaper. Chevy's own S10 was eating its lunch from below. Real trucks were more useful. Muscle was dead. The buyers who got it were aging out and younger buyers moved on. And inside GM, oddballs don't survive meetings with accountants. There's one quiet detail that tells you how little ceremony was left. Near the end, production had already moved out of the States entirely. The last El Caminos came up from GM's plant in Mexico. The all-American car truck wasn't even being built in America when it died. Death by 1,000 spreadsheet cuts. No farewell edition. No numbered plaque. The 1987 model year came, the last US units shipped, and that was that. 23 straight years since the 64 revival. Through the muscle wars, the smog era, the gas lines, all of it. And it ended with a shrug and a fleet ledger. Most people didn't even notice until years later, when they went looking and the showroom didn't have one. And that was it, for 37 years, until the rumors started. Here's the funny thing about killing a legend. It doesn't stay dead in people's heads. The El Camino never left the culture. Values on the good ones kept climbing. The 70s SS 454 became a genuine grail. Clean LS6 trucks pull serious collector money now. Movies kept casting it. Every car meet still got one. The thing GM shrugged off in '87 became one of the most loved machines they ever built. Then, starting around 2024, the internet lost its mind. 2026 El Camino headlines everywhere. Slick renders flooding everybody's feed. Modern muscle truck bodies wearing the old name. Clips pulling millions of views. Talk of an electric Ute era, with folks pointing at Ford's little Maverick printing money and saying the window's finally open again. So let's do what this channel does. Here's what's real, and here's what's hopium. Real. The El Camino name still belongs to GM. They've kept a grip on that trademark, and companies don't babysit names they've got zero interest in. Real. The small truck market is hotter than it's been in decades, and that's the exact hole an El Camino-shaped product would fill. Real. People inside and outside the industry have kicked the idea around for years. GM even brought over its Australian Ute cousin as a Pontiac Sport. Truck before that plan died with Pontiac. The wanting is real, and it's been real a long time. Not real. Any confirmed El Camino. GM has announced nothing. Zero. No reveal, no teaser, no press release. Those pictures all over your feed? Fake renders, edited thumbnails, made up specs. Every last one of them, no matter how convincing they look. Some rumor pages are straight up inventing horsepower figures and production dates for a vehicle that does not exist. Is a real one coming someday? Honestly, nobody outside GM's walls knows, and anyone claiming they do is guessing for clicks. Don't let anybody sell you a fantasy build as a fact. Not on this channel. So that's the story. GM built a machine nobody could define. Then they killed it for not fitting the boxes they created. And now, decades later, people still want the box back. So tell me this, should Chevy bring back a real El Camino? Or is the legend only alive because GM stopped touching it? Tell me down below. I read everyone.